Hi guys, this time we'll go through user-defined functions and some variables. We'll be using inbuilt functions and we'll also use one system variable. To be able to use these, I'll define a very simple model including one part, one machine and one laborer. The machine will draw the parts out of Word and it will ship them after it processes them, and also it will use the laborer for the cycle time. I'll switch on the element flow again, and the last thing I need to do is to define the cycle time. Confirm. So we've got this simple model. Now I'll go to the data tab down here. I'll define several variables for my later use. And I'll also use this user-defined function. First, I'll rename the elements to make some sense to me. I'll make the machine1 to be just M1 because it's going to be easier later. And let's say that the first variable will represent costs of machine1 per operation. The other one will express the costs of machine1 per piece. The third one will be costs of machine1 per time. This one might be costs of the laborer. And let's say this last one will be revenues. Now I can use the variables. So I'll double click the function O1. I'll rename it to profit. But what's most important is that I'll go to the functions body right here. So I'll do left click. And here I can define what's supposed to happen with the variables. So let's use the first one, costs of machine1 per operation. And here I'll use, this is called inbuilt function NOPS, and it has to be followed by the definition. It stands for number of operations, but we need to define the element which operations we are talking about. So this will return the number of operations of machine1, and let's say that each operation costs us 2 Czech crowns. So that would go for the number of operations. If we want to add the costs of each machine, that's this variable. Here the inbuilt function will be NQTY, something like number or quantity. Again, I need to define quantity of what, and this will return how many machines 1 we just have in the model. Let's say that the costs of machine 1 is 20,000 Czech crowns per piece of machine 1. If we double the machines in the model, this will change 2 times 20,000. At this moment, it's gonna mean 1 time 20,000, since we've got just one machine 1 at the moment in the model. The use of time, that this would be useful, for example, if the costs relate to the time for which the element is available in the model. So here I'll use a system variable called time, and I'll multiply, let's say that each hour of machine 1 operation costs us 20 crowns. Since the time for us is at this moment in minutes, and I'm talking about costs per hour, I need to divide by 60. Okay, so perhaps the best way is divide the time by 60, which means how many hours have elapsed since the start of the simulation, and I multiply by 20. The costs of labor, most likely it's gonna be per hour. So again, what I can do is time divided by 60 multiplied by the wage, let's say 200 per hour. And here one more thing I might need to do is that maybe an optimization step in future is gonna be including more laborers in the model. So that's why it's better to write this expression as well. Sorry, my bad. This expression as well, since this will return how many laborers I just have in the model at this moment, and then it will multiply by how many hours have elapsed and multiplied by the wage per hour. The same I could do here in case I can include more machines 01 in future in the model. In such a case, it should be like this, okay? Because each machine is gonna cost us 20 crowns per minute. Each machine included in the model. Also, I should define the revenues. So let's say that I get like 300 crowns per each product produced. So I'll use this inbuilt function, and we set 300 crowns. I can click on validate, and it tells me that there is no return statement yet. And the function always needs a return statement, which defines what's gonna be the value of the function. At this moment, I have defined the values of the different variables included in the model, but not the value of the function. To do so, I'll write return, and what I want to do is the revenues minus all the costs I have defined. I can check with validate, and it seems that this function is okay. In case that you make a typing mistake like this, you do the validate, it tells you that CM1 time is not defined because it misses the E at the end, and so on. So in case you get the error like this, you should look within the function body, what did you do wrong? I'll check again. This time it's okay, so I'll confirm it okay. Okay again. And two more steps remaining. One is double click machine 01, go to the actions on output, and we need to call the function, which means that at this moment the function will not run on itself. We have to tell witness when to execute the function. Here we're saying, while writing this into the actions on output, we're saying that each time something goes out of the last element in the process, the function is supposed to be executed. That's one thing. And the very last one is that there is no value shown here for the function. That's because some functions can be so-called void functions, which means that they do not return values, they just execute some other events and so on. They can trigger some events, they can trigger some commands and so on. Because our function is not a void function, we would like to see the value of the function. To get that, I right-click the function name. I will choose display here, and I've got a new dialog down here, quite hidden. Here I need to choose draw, then I need to choose value. I need to click on this very first icon and have a look what's here. I'll leave it as it is at this moment. I'll just click on draw and I'll click next to the name of the function. And the last step here, you need to confirm this dialog. If you do not do so, you will get stuck with the model. So don't forget that. This dialog is quite hidden, but that would make a major problem for you. So I'll confirm the dialog. It disappears. At this moment, it's ready to run. So I'll run the model, and I see the values here changing based on how it's defined within the function body. However, I do not see the number here. I'll stop the model, and the thing is that the width of the width here was defined as just 4 places, and it has exceeded 9,999. So we just see the stars. To avoid that, I'll click on that. I'll choose update graphic, and I'll adjust here, let's say to 10 places. I'll confirm while clicking on update, and it's not gonna happen again. Okay, so that's it for today. We have defined so-called user-defined function. While doing so, we used some inbuilt functions, which is these, and we used also one system variable and several user-defined variables. Okay, so good luck.